Good day to each and everyone, dear researchers in the Department of Education, Division of Bataan. I am Gerson F. TUANG, currently designated as OIC Assistant School Principal of Balsic National High School, Senior High, District of Hermosa. It is a great pleasure to present to you my research entitled Unspoken Voices of Teachers Teaching TVL Subjects During the Time of Pandemic, a Phenomenological Study. The new normal setup of education has emerged globally in the onset of epidemiological crisis. This demands the Department of Education to provide continuous learning opportunities for the students through its Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, which were adopted by every school using the distance learning modality. Since education is continuous and a never-ending process, teachers and an example of lifelong learning need to provide what is best for the learners in these complex times. This study explored the lived experiences in the professional practice of the 10 senior high school TVL teachers teaching during the transition of traditional to the new normal setting. The public secondary senior high schools in the district of Hermosa, Bataan offers different specializations of the 4 strands like home economics, industrial arts, agriculture and fishery arts, and information and communication technology in the technical, vocational, and livelihood or TVL track. All require students to acquire necessary competencies and skills gained from their teachers. It is to this important that this study tried to investigate the functional lived experiences of teachers in the senior high school teaching TVL subject during the time of pandemic. The goal of this study was an inquiry in understanding. This study followed research questions based on the concept presented in the framework. Generally, the research question posed on how the new setting of education impacted the functional lived experiences, challenges of TVL teachers, and their behavioral perspective towards teaching and learning. To give light on this study, the following specific questions were formulated. 1. How do the TVL teachers in the senior high school describe their life experiences in the teaching and learning? Second, what challenges do TVL teachers have towards teaching and learning during the new normal setup of education? Third, what are the behavioral perspectives they have as an educator in the complex times of pandemic? 4. What implications do this phenomenological study entails in school leadership? As to type of study, the primary purpose of this study was to explore the lived experiences of teachers on teaching and learning, challenges and behavioral aspiration during the new normal setting of education brought about by COVID-19 pandemic. Basically, from the given research question dictate a qualitative type of study, specifically phenomenological in nature. This method is significantly appropriate because it has to explore in-depth functional lived experiences of teachers in the new normal. That is why the researcher used a phenomenological approach to arrive and elicit first-hand functional lived experiences of TVL teachers and further extracts teachers' voices in teaching and learning, understand their behavioral aspirations, and determine perspectives as teachers in the new normal. According to Creswell 2013, the fundamental goal of phenomenological approach is to arrive at a description of the nature of a particular phenomenon. The participants of this study were the senior high school teachers in the district of Hermosa, Bataan, particularly the TVL teachers. Originally, there were 11 teachers informed and asked to participate to respond to the questionnaire survey. However, 10 of them responded, and it was believed that the textual data given by the participants saturated to the questions asked by the researcher. The researcher used a survey questionnaire in Google form that contains open-ended questions. A survey questionnaire was applied to avoid a longer time for face-to-face interaction between the researcher and the respondents and avoid possibilities of COVID-19 threats. According to Allen 2017, open-ended questions are questions that do not provide participants with a predetermined set of answer choices, instead allowing the participants to provide responses in their own words. The questionnaire in this research was composed of major and sub-questions. However, the retrieved completed survey questionnaires in Google Form was intensively read by the researcher, and a follow-up phone interview was conducted for clarity of statements and a desire in extracting additional responses from the participants. Furthermore, the questionnaires was reviewed by a psychologist. A copy was sent through emails to Ms. Mylene R. Walda, RGC Chairperson, Students Welfare Section, Student Affairs and Services Office, Bataan Peninsula State University, Balanga Campus, and professionals in the Department of Education. As to statistical treatment, the textual content of teachers' voices through survey questionnaire and follow-up phone interview were analyzed using general inductive approach in developing themes. In this study, a general inductive approach was applied based on Creswell 2014 using a conventional content analysis based on 2016 of teachers' reading response. First, the participants' response from the survey questionnaire and interview was transcribed, encoded in a Word document for a systematic classification process of bracketing and coding anchored in the research questions and literatures. Secondly, the researcher did a second round of coding to determine the themes or patterns relative to the study, then it was refined to come up connections. There were three major themes developed in this study. One is functional lived experiences of teachers. The study revealed pedagogical preparedness. The demand for change of teaching environment of teachers due to the closures brought about by COVID-19 enable our teachers to prepare and conceive various teaching strategies adaptive in the implementations of the new teaching environment through the distance learning. Second one is innovative instruction. The senior high school TVL teachers employ various teaching in support to the modular distance learning. Teaching is done by creating and engaging learning using a visualization approach and various strategy such as the use of ICT, video lesson, audio lessons, and the utilizations of messaging. Next one is situational planning and feedbacking. Limited resources and the considerations of the different situations of TVL learners have always been the basis in planning and feedbacking of the teachers in the discharge of teaching and learning function during the pandemic. The other one sub-theme is flexible use of executions of tasks in assessing understudies. According to the participants, the evidence-based evaluation of written and versatile applications of performance tasks using the rubric gauge learning assessment and performance of the learners. And the last one is patience in the professional practice. In the practice of professions of teachers in the new setup of education greatly changes by moving teaching from the traditional to new teachings, techniques, and approaches that according to the participants require patience. The second major theme is teaching and learning challenges, and these are close-guided learning and monitoring, handling learning difficulties and unfocused students, bracing skills and innovation in teaching, and inadequate preparation and resources. The third theme is teachers' behavioral perspective. Under this is acceptability to challenges. Translating learning into skills of TVL students needs teachers to have right attitude, adaptive different pedagogical strategies and approaches to effectively communicate in the remote learning environment. The next one is adaptability to instructive creativeness. Teaching TVL subject in the new normal environment necessitates new ideas and creativity of the teachers in making teaching and learning attainable both the learners and the teachers. This study has identified various implications to school leadership based on the teacher's experiences in the implementation of the distance learning. However, the researcher wants to emphasize that positive appreciation of school leaders should be apparent to pay gratitude and love to teachers who have relentlessly exerted patience in the discharge of their professional practice during the time of COVID-19 pandemic. The researcher recommends that school leaders should prepare their teachers to various tasks and responsibilities. Second, professional training program on content, students' learning management, and technological reskilling suited to the present situation must be given to the teachers. And teachers should have a positive mindset and dedication to teaching professions despite hardship in the implementation of education in these trying times. This is Gerson Tuang leaving you my philosophy. Success in education is often attributed to a rigorous candle burning and enthused performance. Mabuhay!